Another day in the books in Washington, D.C. I had the privilege and honor of sitting down with the brother of Terri Schiavo today. Her story is a global story that impacted many lives for the pro-life movement, which we must all remember is not just about abortions. It's conception till natural death. So the March for Life, stating that, means we are pro-life from the beginning of conception till natural death. So that's why we're here. That's why 500,000 people are going to be right here in 2 days. So thank you for returning. Thank you, Bobby, for sharing. Let us continue to pray for our nation's capital, and let us continue to get amped up for this upcoming election, because we're going to need to make a difference as Catholics by getting out there and changing what's happening right now in our nation's capital, because as you know, it's not good. It's not good. In fact, some new things went down a couple days ago. But anyway, God bless. Thank you for coming back. Some footage today from DC. The footage from OBS marches on for you and the 1 Billion Stories audience around the world. God bless. So welcome back, everyone, to 1 Billion Stories. We're here today with Bobby Schindler, who is the brother of Terri Schiavo. And
I think to this day, Terry's still in the news quite a bit.
Sure.
I don't know if people realize that. We do, because we're so involved in this issue. But I see on an everyday basis just how much Terry's situation is, how much it's reported, the inaccuracies of its reporting, particularly with her condition. People don't realize it's easy to lump Terry's discussion in these end-of-life type categories, but the fact of the matter is it was not an end-of-life situation. Terry wasn't dying. Terry had a cognitive disability. She did not have a terminal disease. She was not in a coma. She was not brain dead. She was not in a persistent vegetative state. She was only being sustained by food and water. No machines. There were no artificial machines that were keeping her alive. She had difficulty swallowing because of her brain injury, and because of that, she needed a feeding tube that went directly into her stomach. There were doctors that believed that she could have learned to eat again if she was given the opportunity to be taught how to swallow. But nevertheless, she was a woman with a cognitive disability, like hundreds of thousands of others in similar conditions to Terry, that really just needed our love, needed people to take care of her in order to survive. But she was sustained by the same thing that sustains all of us, which is food and water, basic care. In fact, it's funny when we do a lot of speaking, and I always tell people, and this always surprises them, I tell them, if Terry were alive today, she could be here. I mean, she could be attending this March for Life. She could actually march with us. All she needed was a wheelchair, and we could have taken her anywhere, and she could have marched with us on the every year for the many years we've been here now. At the mall, marching with us to the Supreme Court building. During that time.
What was going on with you and your heart during those times and
those last 2 weeks?
Yeah, those
particularly?
last 2 weeks particularly.
Well, quite honestly, Seth, I didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't think that we would allow an innocent disabled woman to be killed this way. And we got to remember, we dehydrated and starved her to death. And again, I'll say it once, but I don't say it 100 times. What happened to Terry is happening every single day in our country. But during that time, I was doing I was up here in Washington doing lobbying. Congress was involved in trying to pass a bill. I was flying to Tallahassee, Florida, the capital of Florida, because that's where this was occurring in Florida, in St. Petersburg. But I was in Tallahassee trying to help anything I could do to get the legislature of Florida to pass the bill. So I was doing a lot of traveling, and it was all successful. And then the last several days, I was with my family and with Terry, and just having to go in there and experience something that really no family should ever have to experience, watching my sister die this way.
Lastly, I'd like to hear about, your personal faith.
For me, it was a real test of faith.
Yeah.
In fact, I wasn't. I have to say I wasn't really a practicing Catholic. I got into college and got caught up on many of those secular things that one might get caught up on, and I was very angry at Christ and God and blaming Him for a lot that was happening. And then it was there was a woman I was teaching. Ironically enough, I was teaching at a Catholic high school in Tampa, Florida. And there was a woman that used to go visit with me to go visit Terri during the week. A very, very holy and devout woman, Catholic. And this was before Terri's husband barred people from visiting my sister.
Yeah.
But she'd always tell me that she was praying for me. And I remember I didn't pay much attention to it, and I would thank her. But I think one thing, not to get into a long, but one thing led to another. And for whatever reason, I came across EWTN and was watching an interview with Jim Caviezel. And he was talking about how he was going to be playing Christ in an upcoming movie by Mel Gibson. And I remember I said to myself, well, I want to see that movie. And it was I believe in March of 2004. I went and saw that movie, and I guess that's when I don't want to say conversion.
Reversion.
What the word is for it.
Sure.
But I realized how foolish I had been, that my faith should be in Christ. And I thought of my friend who was praying for me all the time, and all the people that were praying for us through Terri. But now I pray every day for the grace to stay true to my faith, and I try to go to the sacraments as much as I can now. And my life is completely different than it was being away from Christ. So it's been quite a journey, a lot of anger, but I do find a lot of peace in Him now, and don't know how people can live without having some kind of relationship with Christ, because without it I'd be lost, and I realize now how lost I was